Tonight, billions of dollars in trade to and from the United States is in jeopardy at one of the world's most important shipping routes, the Panama Canal.
Over the past weeks, there's been quite a sight unfolding at one of the busiest spots in global trade, the Panama Canal. This massive 80-kilometer-long waterway, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, has turned into a parking lot for cargo ships, with hundreds patiently waiting their turn to cross.
And 40% of U.S. container traffic. But with water levels below normal, authorities are only allowing 24 ships to cross a day.
Every year, around 14,000 ships rely on this vital passage, making up about 6% of world trade. It's a crucial link in the chain that gets goods to stores worldwide. But lately, it's been facing some serious challenges, technical glitches, space constraints, and even climate-related issues. So, why is this engineering marvel suddenly facing threats? That's what we're exploring in this video. To understand the Panama Canal story, we're taking a detour to France, back to the late 19th century. In 1880, Ferdinand de Lesseps, also known as the Great Frenchman, was inspired. You see, in 1880, he came up with an ambitious mission to build a canal connecting the two oceans, inspired by his success with the Suez Canal. With grand visions and confidence aplenty, de Lesseps purchased the rights to the land in Panama in 1882. But then, reality hit hard. Unlike the Suez project, Panama's terrain was rugged, with dense jungle and a daunting hill nearly 100 meters high to conquer. And then there were the harsh tropical conditions, storms, mudslides, and diseases like malaria and yellow fever, which took a heavy toll on the workers. Despite his earlier successes, de Lesseps found himself on the brink of failure as the project faced bankruptcy and mounting challenges. The plans took a turn when they decided to switch gears and construct a canal with a lock, a move pushed by various parties involved in the project, including Gustave Eiffel, the future mastermind behind Paris's famous tower. But this change came too late, especially as it coincided with one of France's biggest financial scandals of the century. Thousands of investors poured their savings into the project through a massive public subscription. However, instead of funding a viable canal, the money ended up lining the pockets of public officials through bribes, leaving the canal's feasibility in doubt. The Ferdinand de Lesseps company faced bankruptcy in 1889, leaving many small investors empty-handed and tragically costing the lives of over 20,000 workers. Despite the debacle, the Panama Canal remained a coveted prize. Its strategic value dates back centuries, with its potential to save time and money by bypassing the treacherous Cape Horn. In 1903, with the backing of the United States, Panama declared independence. In return, the U.S. secured a perpetual concession for the canal and a swath of land crossing the country. Construction resumed in 1904, with engineers opting for a lock canal design. The use of vaccines helped curb tropical diseases, facilitating progress on this monumental project. Over the course of a decade, nearly 40,000 workers, aided by innovative engineering techniques, toiled on the canal, which stretched over 79.6 kilometers and featured 2 artificial lakes and 3 massive locks. The project, which cost the U.S. around $375 million, was completed in 1914 amid the backdrop of World War I. With the canal firmly under American control, the U.S. dictated its dimensions, which set the standard for modern vessels. In the 1970s, efforts began to return the canal to Panama, ending in 1999 when Panama assumed ownership of this vital maritime artery. Now, what sets this canal apart from being just a waterway? Well, it's a lifeline for global trade. Stretching across a 50-mile path that links the Atlantic and the Pacific, the Panama Canal serves as a crucial artery in the realm of international commerce. Each year, over 14,000 vessels carrying billions of dollars worth of cargo navigate this engineered passage. That amounts to approximately 6% of the world's maritime trade, flowing through a water route so indispensable that any obstruction could reverberate through the global economy. The significance of the Panama Canal cannot be overstated. It acts as a vital conduit for the shipping industry, facilitating the rapid movement of goods between the eastern and western hemispheres. Before its construction, ships had to endure the treacherous and lengthy journey around the southern tip of South America, known as the notorious Cape Horn. The canal has effectively halved the distance ships must travel between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, reshaping global maritime trade routes. But how does this impact the price of goods, like coffee and electronics? The answer lies in shipping economies. Shorter voyages mean lower transportation costs, which are then passed down the supply chain, ultimately reducing the prices of imported goods. The canal's ability to accommodate massive vessels, such as Panamax and new Panamax ships, further enhances these savings by allowing more cargo per transit, optimizing economies of scale. However, the canal's influence extends well beyond Panama's borders. The smooth operation of this waterway is crucially intertwined with global markets. The efficiency of the Panama Canal directly influences the stability of global markets. Any disruption here can lead to financial setbacks elsewhere. But can this waterway keep up with the increasing demands of global trade? The Panama Canal's functionality relies heavily on a dwindling resource: water. Water levels in the canal's feeder lakes are vital for its operation, yet they are subject to the whims of weather. In recent years, a looming crisis has emerged, one that threatens the very existence of the canal: water scarcity due to prolonged droughts. While water scarcity isn't a new challenge, its impact on the Panama Canal serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of even our most robust infrastructures to nature's forces. The canal functions by transferring water from its man-made reservoirs, primarily Lake Gatun, into its locks to raise ships over the Continental Divide and then lower them back down to sea level. Each passage necessitates a whopping 52 million gallons of water. With the expansion facilitating the transit of larger vessels, the demand for water has only surged. But what occurs when there isn't enough water to meet this demand? The alarming development of the ongoing drought situation in Panama transcends a mere seasonal dry spell. It's a climatic aberration resulting in the lowest water levels in Lake Gatun in nearly a century. Consequently, the Panama Canal Authority has been compelled to enforce draft restrictions on ships, curtailing the volume of cargo that they can carry to ensure they float higher in the water and consume less water while navigating through the locks. But why is this noteworthy? Consider a shopping cart at the grocery store. The more items it can accommodate, the fewer trips you need to make. Let's apply this analogy to shipping, where every passage through the canal is carefully planned to optimize cargo capacity. With draft limitations enforced, ships are unable to carry full loads, leading to increased voyages, elevated expenses, and a less efficient supply chain. This disruption comes at a significant cost, impacting commodity prices and the dynamics of global trade. Take, for instance, the Neo-Panamax vessels engineered to exploit the expanded locks of the canal. These ships boast a capacity of up to 14,000 20-foot equivalent units. Yet due to these new restrictions, they must sail with less than full capacity. The ramifications of the canal's constraints extend across ports worldwide. In regions spanning Asia, Europe, and the Americas, schedules are disrupted, and shipping expenses soar. The expenses associated with container shipping have risen considerably, inevitably impacting consumers. However, if these vessels were to alter their routes to navigate around the Cape of Good Hope or through the Suez Canal, the process would become intricate and expensive. The extended voyage not only amplifies fuel consumption and emissions, but also leads to delays in goods delivery. In a world where just-in-time delivery is standard, such delays can spell disaster for businesses. Now, the canal is grappling with a challenge its original constructors could have never foreseen: a backlog. This isn't merely a line of ships awaiting passage through a renowned waterway. It's a bottleneck with significant repercussions for global trade and the economy. The wait times for these vessels have surged, with some reports citing delays exceeding 2 weeks. For ship operators, each additional day a vessel spends in wait translates to lost revenue, heightened costs, and disrupted schedules. Ports worldwide are grappling with the challenge of adapting to the unpredictable arrival of ships, leading to the rearrangement of berths and labor schedules. This backlog struggle reflects a broader dilemma: finding a balance between the relentless pace of economic activity and the finite resources and infrastructure available. The pressing question remains: are we prepared to reconsider our approach to global trade in light of these challenges? As shipping companies confront logistical nightmares, the quest for solutions intensifies. Some are exploring the option of smaller ships, while others are investing in more efficient loading strategies. However, these are temporary measures addressing a sustainability issue at its core. But what does sustainability entail in the context of global maritime trade? There are numerous challenges to maintaining water levels in the canal. The water utilized for each transit is discharged into the sea, a necessary yet inefficient process, particularly when water is scarce. The canal's watershed, a region that gathers rainfall to replenish the lakes, has experienced below-average precipitation for multiple consecutive years. Climate change is modifying rainfall patterns, resulting in a shorter and less predictable wet season. The consequence? A deficit in the water budget that the canal cannot sustain. But how does the canal address this critical issue? The Panama Canal employs a sophisticated water conservation system, incorporating water-saving basins to recycle a portion of the water utilized in each lockage. However, these measures are insufficient to counter the severe drought conditions that have diminished inflows to the lakes. The situation has become so severe that the Canal Authority has resorted to unprecedented measures, such as implementing a freshwater surcharge for ships and exploring desalination projects to supplement the water supply. However, the looming question is whether these efforts will suffice to keep pace with the changing climate and the increasing demands of global trade. The Panama Canal stands as a testament to the engineering marvels of the early 20th century. Its construction was an immense endeavor, combining ambition and precision, reshaping global trade routes. The canal's design comprises a sophisticated system of locks, dams, and artificial lakes, with Lake Gatun at its core, serving as a crucial reservoir for its operation. At the heart of the canal's operation lies a simple yet brilliantly gravity-fed water system. When ships enter the canal, they're raised 85 feet above sea level to cross the Isthmus of Panama, and then lowered back to sea level on the other side. This feat is accomplished through a series of locked chambers that fill and empty using only gravity. Each lockage requires a significant amount of water from Lake Gatun, around 52 million gallons, to raise and lower vessels. This water is not reused. Instead, it flows into the sea, making the canal's dependence on consistent rainfall to replenish Lake Gatun a crucial factor for its sustainability. However, what happens when the rain becomes less frequent? For a moment, let's contemplate the Suez Canal, another vital point in global trade. In contrast to the Panama Canal, the Suez operates as a sea-level waterway devoid of locks, utilizing the natural ebb and flow of the Mediterranean and Red Seas. This setup shields it from the same susceptibility of water scarcity. The notable disparity between the two canals underscores the unique vulnerability of the Panama Canal, its reliance on a finite freshwater reserve. But what makes this distinction pose a greater threat to the Panama Canal? The answer lies in the shifting climate patterns and their repercussions on the hydrological cycle. The canal's original design failed to anticipate prolonged droughts and irregular rainfall, now exacerbated by climate change. Consequently, water levels in Lake Gatun, once consistently replenished by seasonal rains, are now subject to the unpredictability of increasingly erratic weather patterns. This has created a delicate situation where water management is now as critical as managing the vessels themselves. But can we effectively handle what seems increasingly unmanageable? El Nino, an intricate weather phenomenon resulting from fluctuations in ocean temperatures in the equatorial Pacific, plays a pivotal role in this unfolding scenario. Occurring roughly every 2 to 7 years, El Nino can disrupt normal weather patterns worldwide, triggering extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, and heavy rainfall. Primarily, it alters wind patterns and impacts the upwelling of cold, nutrient-rich water in the Pacific Ocean. Consequently, this disrupts global weather patterns, often causing decreased rainfall in the Central American region, including Panama. The canal, heavily reliant on consistent substantial rainfall to replenish its water reservoirs, becomes increasingly susceptible. The rains that used to fill Lake Gatun and ensure smooth ship passage are no longer certain. But what does this mean for the canal during El Nino years? Meteorologists and climate scientists have closely watched these patterns, noticing more frequent and intense El Nino events. The outlook for the Panama Canal is grim. With each El Nino event, the risk of water levels dropping too low for safe navigation rises. The Canal Authority has had to impose more frequent measures like draft restrictions, which directly affects the shipping industry. Advanced forecasting models and climate predictions are now vital tools for the Panama Canal Authority. By predicting El Nino events, they can plan and implement water conservation strategies ahead of time. Yet these models aren't foolproof, and the unpredictable nature of weather patterns worsened by climate change remains a constant challenge. Once viewed as a symbol of human dominance over nature, the Panama Canal now embodies the unpredictability and potency of nature. The canal's struggle with water scarcity mirrors a broader global concern. How do we address the need for sustainable water management amidst climate change? Tackling the environmental obstacles of the Panama Canal necessitates a deep understanding of the region's unique biodiversity and the intricate workings of the canal itself. Carving through the Isthmus of Panama, the canal intersects with a rich tapestry of wildlife, including the elusive jaguar, the Panamanian white-faced capuchin, and the harpy eagle, the national bird of Panama. The well-being of these species hinges on the health of the rainforest ecosystem, which the canal divides. The Panama Canal Authority has implemented specific measures to address environmental impacts. Reforestation initiatives, like the Panama Canal Watershed Reforestation Project, aims to restore thousands of hectares with native tree species, crucial for maintaining watershed health and biodiversity. But how effective are these reforestation efforts amid ongoing development pressures? The expansion of the canal, known as the Panama Canal Expansion Project, was completed with environmental considerations in mind. The project included creating a new water-saving basin system to recycle water used in the locks. This system is designed to conserve 60% of the water that would otherwise be lost to the sea, reflecting the ACP's awareness of the canal's water constraints. Yet, can this innovative approach keep up with the growing demands of the canal's water resources? The ACP also partners with environmental groups to monitor the canal's effects on wildlife. For instance, the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute collaborates with the ACP to research the canal's impact on aquatic life in Lake Gatun and nearby water bodies. Their findings shed light on how the canal's activities intersect with the migration routes of marine creatures like humpback whales, which traverse Panamanian waters. To safeguard these animals, the ACP has enforced speed limits for ships during peak migration periods. The canal's watershed plays a crucial role in the Mesoamerican Biological Corridor, a network of protected zones aimed at preserving Central America's biodiversity. The ACP's environmental management strategy includes measures to uphold connectivity within this corridor, facilitating the movement of species despite the canal's presence. Furthermore, the canal's environmental footprint extends to air quality in the area. To address this, the ACP has implemented initiatives to reduce emissions from its operations, such as electrifying the locomotives that assist ships through the locks. A continuous challenge lies in the sedimentation occurring in the canal, necessitating regular dredging to maintain an open navigation channel. This dredging process can disturb sediment layers, releasing pollutants and disturbing the benthic organisms vital to the aquatic food chain. The canal's future depends on our ability to innovate while balancing economic demands with conservation efforts. As we peer into the future of the Panama Canal, we face a mix of optimism and uncertainty. The 2016 expansion, which introduced new locks and widened the canal to accommodate Neo-Panamax vessels, was a monumental feat. It promised to inaugurate a new era of maritime trade, allowing larger ships to transit through and facilitating an increase in transported goods. The expanded canal was designed for efficiency, with the goal of reducing water usage by recycling 60% of the water in each lockage. However, the canal's dependence on fresh water from Lake Gatun and the surrounding watershed poses a significant challenge. As rainfall patterns become less predictable and dry seasons lengthen, the pressing question emerges: how will the canal maintain its operations? While the canal's importance in global trade is undeniable, its ability to adapt to the changing realities of climate change will be crucial for its sustainability. The ACP is exploring demand management strategies, including adjusting prices during dry seasons to promote water conservation. The expansion of the canal has undeniably boosted its capacity, but it has also heightened the risks. The larger locks mean that any disruption in their functioning could have far-reaching consequences for global trade. The administrators of the canal must carefully navigate a delicate balance, weighing the necessity of generating revenue against the crucial aspect of sustainable water management. But what if this delicate balance is disrupted? Imagine if the Panama Canal, which is a pivotal player in global trade, finds itself unable to cope with the increasing demands imposed by a constantly growing global market. In such a scenario, a potential solution might lie in the frigid waters of the North and the political arenas of Central America, where alternative shipping routes are being considered as potential rivals or supplements to the Panama Canal. The Arctic route, previously impassable due to thick year-round ice, is gradually becoming accessible as a result of the rapid melting of ice caused by global warming. This route, known as the Northern Sea Route, offers a shorter path between Europe and Asia, significantly reducing the distance compared to traditional routes through the Suez or Panama Canal. But is this route truly feasible? While the melting ice caps create new opportunities, they also introduce unpredictable conditions and new navigational risks. The absence of established search and rescue infrastructure, combined with a remote and harsh Arctic environment, raises significant safety concerns. Furthermore, the environmental consequences are substantial. Increased Arctic traffic could result in oil spills and disruptions to delicate polar ecosystems. There are also high geopolitical stakes, with Arctic nations such as Russia and Canada eager to regulate and control these emerging shipping routes. Could the opening of an Arctic passage alter the balance of maritime power? Additionally, there's the proposed Nicaraguan Canal, a project debated for centuries and recently resurrected as a potential competitor to the Panama Canal. This canal would traverse Nicaragua, linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. However, this endeavor faces immense hurdles, from the exorbitant construction costs to the environmental impact on the country's lakes and rainforests. The geopolitical implications are also significant, raising concerns about foreign investment and sovereignty. The project has ignited debates on national and international platforms, with environmentalists and indigenous groups expressing concerns about potential ecosystem destruction and impacts on livelihoods. What about the Suez Canal, the long-standing counterpart to the Panama Canal? Well, like Panama, the Suez Canal has undergone expansions to meet the growing demands of maritime trade. However, unlike the Panama, the Suez Canal doesn't rely on freshwater lakes and isn't susceptible to drought. Nevertheless, this waterway faces its own challenges and limitations, particularly in accommodating the increasingly large size of vessels. Although the canal experienced a significant expansion in 2015, it continues to grapple with congestion problems. Furthermore, historical conflicts have led to several closures of the canal, and the threat of piracy in adjacent shipping lanes remains a worry for shipping companies. Thank you for tuning into our video. We would love to hear your thoughts on this, and you can leave your thoughts in the comments section below.